Why do parents demand school transparency in education? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world the principles of self-government as they relate to family relationships, good connection, stopping conflict in families, and child development. I teach a lot at educational conferences, especially homeschooling conferences, and have been heavily involved in the conversation on education relating to children around the world. In this video, we're going to be talking about transparency and why parents think it's so important. So many people know me for the books that I write, the articles, this channel, but also for the classes that I teach on parenting. People come to my 3-day trainings, they take my online course, my TSG parenting course, which stands for Teaching Self-Government, which is the name of my website. Anyway, that's what I'm known for. But what people don't know is what I do in my spare time. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of an insight to what I do in my spare time that also hopefully serves you and other families all around the world. And I'm going to be talking about some of the movement that's happening in transparency and what steps I've been trying to take to get more transparency for parents and families. So many people know me for being the head of Teaching Self-Government and for the books and things I've written there. However, what a lot of people don't know is that I also head an international organization that is accredited at the United Nations and does a lot of consulting on an international, national, and then local sphere. And that organization is called the Worldwide Organization for Women. It was started back in 1977 to protect families, women, and children during a time that was incredibly volatile in the conversation about women and motherhood and those kinds of things. Well, over time, that organization became big. It became international, and so it soon got accreditation at the United Nations. Well, I was not associated with the organization back in 1977. I was 2 years old then, but I have been associated with the organization now for at least 11 years, if memory serves me right, because I've been their president for 11 years. And actually, I knew about the organization a little bit before they asked me to become their president. So they asked me to speak at the United Nations about, guess what? Parenting, which is something that I speak about very often. They wanted to give help to women at the conference at the UN called the Conference on the Status of Women, because 80% of the women of the world still become mothers at some point, and they wanted those mothers to get help in their parenting, to give them tips so that they would become less stressed and feel more confident. So they invited Nicholeen Peck to come. Well, right before I went to speak my first time at the United Nations, they actually asked me if I would start heading their organization because the president of their organization was having extreme health problems and needed to step down, and no one else on the board wanted to do it. At first, I told them no, just so you know, because I was like, I'm plenty busy, but then felt very strongly that everything was happening for a reason and that I was supposed to head that organization. So as the head of that organization, I participate on a lot of coalitions and a lot of forums and summits related to family issues, because our organization is all about protecting faith, family, and sovereignty. And a lot of those things are impacting us right now. In fact, families are struggling to maintain their identity as families, and they are struggling to maintain their religious freedoms in a society that is trying to go more and more global. So we try to bring a different voice to the table where we say, hey, hold on, people have to maintain all of these vital freedoms and rights, even though, sure, the world is getting smaller and smaller with all of the global I guess, movements that are happening around the world. I'm going to share a little bit more about what I do in my spare time and what we need to learn about transparency in education. But before I do, click the subscribe button now. This channel is all about you strengthening your home and family, and when you subscribe, you will see more of the videos on this channel come into your view. So for years, not only do I go and speak at the United Nations, World Congresses, things like that, but I have been taking a very active role in what's going on locally around me and with some national coalitions to protect the health of children and to protect parents and families. So these groups have been very concerned about what's going on in education and how parents seem to be frustrated in education, but they don't really know why their child is changing in that educational environment in a way that's hurting family bonds. They're not sure what's going on in that educational model over at the school that's making it hard to reach their child at home. At first, they thought it was just social trends, and surely digital technology, social media, those things definitely do impact the bond and connection between parent and child. Parents need to pay special attention to that. I have other videos on this channel all about that. That's not what I'm talking about today though, because that's just one factor. Another factor is actually what is being taught at schools, and not even just the curriculum choice, but the way or the tone in which something is presented. There are things that are being presented with a bias. There are people, teachers or administrators or people that are presenting maybe in an assembly or something that's not even a normal class, or even in just a display that's being put up in the school. They are presenting an idea as a fact. They are presenting an opinion in a biased way as a fact, because maybe they've been contacted or lobbied by a certain group of people that say, no, this is what you need to do. And so they just do it, or maybe some of them fully believe it. I certainly do not think that all teachers are villainous in any way. In fact, there are more teachers in my family than pretty much any other profession. My father was a public school teacher his entire life, but even he would tell you that what is being pushed down bureaucratically on the teachers feels totally heavy. They do not know how to push back against the stuff that people are saying, you need to teach this, you need to teach this. And they're saying, wait, I went to school for how to teach this subject. I know how to teach it, and that's not part of the subject. My dad struggled a lot with that. And I know other teachers who actually have stopped teaching. Sister-in-laws, some currently still teaching, some who've pulled away from teaching because they just cannot push ideas on other people. So this brings us then to the conversation about transparency. So what if the parents knew everything that was being taught in the schools? What if there were policies in place that made it so that good teaching would continue to happen, and some of those ideas that were controversial, that made it so that parents felt like their values at home were being supplanted or pushed out of the way or made to seem non-valuable to the child, would actually be protected. See, parents, and if you've seen some of my other videos about why the parents' choice movement is picking up, this is because parents are basically saying, I don't know if I trust what's going on over there in education. They're saying, I know what my child needs, and somebody is not showing me what's happening, and so I'm seeing needs aren't getting met. So I want to do something different about it. So this movement to help families gain more freedom and more connection to their children has been multiple-pronged approach. One prong approach is, hold on, let's talk about the screens and the children. Let's do some education there, because that's hurting families. Okay, now what about, where do children spend their whole days? Where do they spend their lives? In the school. If we're having more and more problems with the children, we've got to say, wait a minute, who is their biggest influencer? The school. Now maybe it's the peers at the school, maybe it's the teachers or the curriculum at the school. We don't know all the pieces, but we've got to look at all of them then. And we've got to say, well, does my child need to be there? When my child's at home with me for a while, they're totally different. They're totally happy. Then they go to school and they're stressed. Could it be because of bullying? Could it be because they feel like their values are being stepped on or squashed at school and they don't feel like they have a voice? What is it that could be happening to my child? Parents are taking a big look. And so many parents are pulling out. And I say, good for you. Pull out. Find what you need for your child. But some parents are saying, I can't pull out. Logistically, that's not a possibility for our family, but I'm still not okay with it because I pay money for that. I'm a taxpayer, so I should get to know what my child is being taught. And by the way, many parents are feeling like it's a right, because it is a right. Parents have the right to the upbringing and education of their children. Many states have listings of parents' rights, and that's some of the rights that are listed in many, many states' constitutions. Parents have that right to oversee it. In fact, those constitutions were usually made back in a day and age where the parents were overseeing the little local school that their child went to. They did have a say. They could go talk to the board and make an actual change because there wasn't this top-down big government approach pushing curriculum on the schools and holding the funding hostage for teaching certain things because of bonds and because of whatever to get money for the schools, which is what is happening now. Parents did have a say. They used to have more of a right. And it's becoming less and less and less in education. In fact, there have been egregious videos that have come out in recent years where people in education have actually said, listen, we know how to raise your children. Or, hey, listen, when your child is at the school, they don't belong to you anymore. And parents are like, no, 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 I am not taking that. That's not happening. So the parents are starting to take action. So if a parent can't quit their job, they need to maintain working and their child needs to go to school, but they're not okay with the school, they can't afford a private school perhaps, or something like that, or have a friend homeschool their child, there's not an option for them. They want to know what's going on in the schools. And honestly, as taxpayers, we all should want to know what's going on in the school because we're paying for it. So the transparency bills that are coming out are bills like, the curriculum needs to be made available to parents. And if updates to online curriculum have happened, then the schools need to be notified and they need to vet that stuff. Because do you know the percentage of educational and instructional resources that come into schools that are not vetted? It's horrible. All schools have these databases that are not vetted at all. The amount of content in the databases is so voluminous, you could never vet all of it. And so that puts the hands in the person getting money from the magazine companies, which sometimes, by the way, are things like Penthouse, GQ, Skateboarder, and, whatever else that you don't want your child to be viewing. And they pay these aggregate companies to provide databases, and then our states and LEAs or school districts pay for the access to something they're told is clean and it's not. And same with online classes and books that are coming in. Parents are saying that book's not coming in, it needs to go. So parents are wanting to pull these things out and they are starting to fight at legislatures and on school board meetings. They are saying, no, this cannot happen. Well, it does seem that educators are waking up, that school boards are waking up, and that they are telling themselves, we've got to let the parents know it's safe. We thought it was safe. Maybe there is a problem. Oops, obviously there is a problem because they're seeing so much proof now because parents are bringing it up and they're saying, okay, we got to do something then. So they're taking steps to saying, we can't have displays that are politically moving or that are controversial. We've got to make it so that things in those halls are professional. When you are professionally offering a service to people who have all different types of ideologies, you don't promote one over the other. That's what you do. So if you are starting to feel like you need more transparency in education, contact your school board. Contact your legislators. Ask them if you can get bills in place. Ask them what's already in code, in statute, in your state, in your country to protect your children. And start bringing stuff to light. Just show people, look, found this. Look, my child saw this. I didn't even know. And above all, have conversations with your child about the fact that there is junk there. And tell them, I need to know about it. I know it's there. What have you seen? So that you can start things moving in a transparent direction. We want transparency in healthcare, transparency in government, of course, for our children whom we care about more than anything else. We demand transparency in education. If you are worried about the relationship that you have with your children, I can help you. The majority of the content on this channel is related actually to improving relationships, solving conflicts, and creating a good united family. So keep researching on this channel. The next video I highly recommend that you go and see is a video called The Not So Known Secret to Parenting Success. And it will give you some of those nuts and bolts of self-government learning in your home that may help you as you are trying to find out what's going on in your child's school too.